The battlefield stretched endlessly across the crystalline plains of Zarion 7, littered with the wreckage of both human and Zephyrian war machines. Smoke rose from countless craters where plasma cannons had torn through defensive positions, and the acrid smell of burnt metal and ozone filled the thin atmosphere. Lieutenant Marcus Chen picked his way carefully through the debris field, his combat scanner sweeping for survivors. The 3rd Human Expeditionary Force had won this engagement, but at a terrible cost. Half their battalion lay buried beneath twisted steel and shattered rock. A faint biosignature flickered on his display. Not human, but alive. Marcus hesitated. Standard protocol dictated leaving enemy wounded for their own retrieval teams. But something about the weak, irregular pulse made him reconsider. He found her trapped beneath the collapsed frame of a Zephyrian battle mech. Her powered armor cracked and sparking. She was conscious, her large amber eyes tracking his movement as he approached. Zephyrians were tall and lean, with elongated limbs and pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the harsh sunlight. This one was clearly a warrior. Her armor bore the ceremonial scarring of the Zephyrian honor guard. Marcus raised his rifle instinctively, then lowered it. She wasn't going anywhere, and her weapon lay several meters away, crushed beyond use. "Easy, there," he said softly, knowing she probably couldn't understand Standard. He gestured with open palms, the universal sign for non-aggression. Her voice was like wind chimes when she spoke, musical despite the pain evident in her posture. "Who, man?" she managed in broken Standard. "You kill me now?" Marcus shook his head and knelt beside the wreckage. Up close, he could see the extent of her injuries. Her left leg was pinned, and her armor's life support systems were failing. Green fluid, Zephyrian blood, seeped from multiple fractures in the protective shell. "I'm going to help you," he said, setting his rifle aside and examining the debris. The Zephyrian watched him with obvious confusion. "Why?" she whispered. Marcus began working on the twisted metal, using his suit's enhanced strength to bend the frame away from her trapped limb. "Because you're hurt." It took 20 minutes of careful maneuvering to free her leg without causing further damage. The Zephyrian, he guessed she was female based on the armor's design, watched him work with growing bewilderment. When he finally lifted the last piece of debris, she tried to sit up and immediately gasped in pain. "Your armor's compromised," Marcus observed, running his scanner over her form. "The internal systems are failing. If I don't get you out of it soon, you'll suffocate." She stared at him for a long moment. "You would remove my protection? Leave me vulnerable?" "To save your life, yes." Something shifted in her expression, a vulnerability that transcended species barriers. "In my culture," she said slowly, "armor is never removed by another unless—" She trailed off, unable to find the words. Marcus understood. Among warriors, especially those from honor-based societies, being disarmed and stripped of protection was the ultimate humiliation, but her bio readings were dropping rapidly. "I'll be gentle," he promised, "and I'll turn away when you're safe." She studied his face for what felt like an eternity, then nodded almost imperceptibly. Marcus began with the helmet, carefully disengaging the seals and lifting it away. Her face was angular and beautiful in an alien way, with intricate tattoos marking her cheekbones. Next came the chest plate, then the arm guards. Each piece required delicate handling. The armor was as much art as protection, inscribed with flowing script and inlaid with precious metals. As he worked, she began to speak. Her name was Liralai, and she was a 3rd daughter of House Vorthak, bound by honor to die in battle rather than face capture. She had never expected mercy from an enemy, certainly not tenderness. "Among my people," she said, as Marcus carefully removed her damaged gauntlets, revealing long, graceful fingers. "Armor is removed only by family, lovers, or those who would claim you as property. It is intimate. Marcus paused in his work. I'm not trying to claim anything. I just want you to live. Why? The question seemed to genuinely puzzle her. Your people and mine have been at war for 3 cycles. I have killed your soldiers. War doesn't make us monsters, Marcus replied, working on the leg guards. At least it doesn't have to. When he reached the final piece, a decorative band around her waist that apparently held ceremonial significance, Lyrelai caught his wrist with surprising strength. In my culture, she said quietly, no one has ever undressed me gently. The weight of that statement hung between them. Marcus could see in her eyes the lifetime of rough handling she'd endured. Soldiers stripping armor for maintenance, medical personnel working with clinical efficiency, perhaps worse. The concept of gentleness, of care for her comfort and dignity, was foreign to her experience. Then I'm honored to be the first, Marcus said simply, and meant it. He removed the final piece with reverent care, then immediately turned away as promised, giving her privacy to don the emergency pressure suit from his pack. When she was decent, he called for medical evacuation. As they waited for the rescue shuttle, Lyrelai sat beside him on a piece of debris, still weak but alive. The late afternoon sun painted the battlefield in shades of copper and gold. Why do your people fight with such honor? She asked eventually. Even toward enemies? Marcus considered the question. Maybe because we've learned that how we treat others, especially when they're helpless, defines who we are more than any victory. She nodded slowly, understanding. Perhaps there is another way than endless war. The rescue shuttle appeared on the horizon, its human markings clear against the alien sky. As it approached, Lyrelai turned to Marcus one final time. I will remember this kindness, Marcus Chen, she said, having somehow learned his name from his suit's identifier. And when I return to my people, I will tell them that humanity possesses something we had not expected, compassion. Marcus watched as she was loaded into the medical bay, knowing that this small act of mercy might ripple outward in ways he couldn't imagine. Sometimes, he reflected, the most important battles weren't won with weapons, but with the simple decision to see the person beneath the armor. In the growing dusk of Zarion 7, that seemed like victory enough.